Hello everyone, welcome to Kiwiradio.nz. I am your DJ, Ralphie.
I am sick and tired of being taxed to death. Tell me why I have to pay sales tax on used children's clothing at a consignment shop where the sales tax has already been paid when it was bought new the first time. We pay sales tax on everything we buy, but explain to me why we have to pay sales tax on a used vehicle that's already had sales tax paid once, if not more than once. Explain to me why we have to pay property taxes on a home or land that we outright own. Because what is the point of making the mortgage payment so the bank can't take your house if when you're done making all those payments, the government says, oh, you haven't paid your property taxes, it's ours now. So you never even outright own it, so what the heck is the point of paying a mortgage? There's literally nothing we can own in this world without being taxed or being taken away. And I think that's something that both parties on both sides of the aisle can agree with, that there's too many taxes. We're taxed on the food we buy. We're taxed on the water for our home, the electricity for our home, the sewage for our home, the trash for our home, literally just to live. Taxed on tips and overtime. I mean, hell, we're taxed if we die. Our family can't even get everything because there's an inheritance tax and an estate tax and a death tax. We are literally being taxed to death. Don't even get me started on the fact that income tax was never even supposed to be a permanent thing. That was something that Abraham Lincoln enacted to fund the war. It does make you question as to why we're always in a war. The problem is there's so many of us that will not say anything because that's just how it is. That's how it's been, and that's how it will always be unless people start speaking up.
Amen, sister. Guess you gotta work it harder, faster, make it stronger, you know, something like that. Kiwi Radio. work it harder. Kiwi Radio.
So they're a comp sci major at their college, and they got an email offering a pre-internship program as a freshman. And what it is an internship for the internships. You apply, go through various interviews, and if you make it, you then do what you would do in an internship, but in a pre-internship. And that then qualifies you to then apply to normal internships, which you then have to go through more interviews and hopefully beat out the other competition so that you can then use that on your resume to then hopefully get a job. And the reasoning behind all of this is because of oversaturation in the market, mass layoffs, and because apparently people who are already in the industry are taking the internships because companies are not hiring people if they have a gap in their resume, even if they take a gap to get more certifications. So you've got people in the industry taking internships away from newly grads, so that they can get certifications. This is it. Like, we're cooked. We're cooked.
We're cooked, baby. Kiwiradio.nz. Back once again with the Renegade Master. Everybody feel it come around. Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm. Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm. Now I'll give it to them every round with the rhythm. This is I'll give it to them every round with the rhythm. This is everybody feel it come around with the rhythm. Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm. Now I'll give it to them every round with the rhythm. This is I'll give it to them every round with the rhythm. This is
everybody's hiring, nobody wants to work. I need you to hear me out for a second. So let me tell you, losing your job unexpectedly is very stressful in and of itself. Maybe you're thinking, yeah, but you can apply for unemployment. Have you ever tried to call them? I like to think I'm a pretty intelligent person. I don't know how anybody is taking advantage of the system because it is so fucking confusing. When you can't figure it out online and you're trying to call them to speak to a human, what do you know? User busy. I'm sorry, when is the phone not busy at unemployment? It doesn't even ring. You can't even wait on hold to talk to someone. Then sure, once you figure it out, you're getting a portion of what you were making at your job. And you can forget it if you were making any kind of commission. Now let's get back to the actual job search. You're applying to hundreds of jobs, 95% of which are never going to get back to you. You have ghost listings, you have scam listings. Yes, there are very realistic scams. I've applied to 2 of them. And you would think you see these job listings and you submit your resume and that's it, good to go. You thought wrong. If you're not having to sign up for an account to apply to a job, you're having to retype all of your information in. That is literally listed on the resume you are submitting. Now, when you're doing this for hundreds of jobs, that can get very tedious and very annoying. Top of that, you're probably making multiple resumes, multiple cover letters, because apparently every job position needs you to submit one specifically for them. Then going back to what I said earlier, you're never going to hear from 95% of them. Then you have places like Indeed who nudges you and says, hey, you should send this employer a little email, a little text through the system and let them know that you're really interested and, ask them where they are in the process. So now we're also having to babysit the employers who say that they're urgently hiring for somebody, but you never hear from. Wait, but maybe you do hear back from somebody and you know what that entails? Multiple interviews, Zoom interview, in-person interview. Oh, we want you to come back for another in-person interview. Oh, can you come back for another in-person interview? And oh, could you do one more Zoom interview?
I don't mind doing a 10th interview. Hunger Games style. You're listening to Kiwiradio.nz. Passion for music. Baby.
Passion.
To comment, head over to youtube.com/@Kiwiradio.nz.
There is no fire. 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 There's no fire like passion. Passion.
Well, I have been applying for jobs, right? Because I need a job eventually. And I just want to talk about that fact that I had a phone call interview, right? And the guy made it seem like he didn't want me to have the job. Like, so we get talking about the position, we get talking about my future goals, and he asked me, what's your future goal? I said, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to own property someday. I want to be my own property manager. I want to invest in property. That's my goal. He's like, I don't think that this job would match up for you. What makes you interested in the job? If I wasn't interested in the job, or it didn't match with what my experience is, why would I apply?
That's a good question. You're tuned to Kiwiradio.nz with your DJ Ralphie.
Y'all, I keep hearing people say things like, I'm burned out at my job, I'm just gonna quit and then I'll find something new. And the thing I need you to understand is that you should not do that. Like, do not do that. Because I think what people don't understand is that this job market is crazy and the way that job seekers are being treated is absolutely unacceptable. Like, it is awful. Here's some examples. People apply for a job and literally no one responds to them. They just don't hear back one way or another. They have no idea if their application was received, if anyone's looked at their application, if they're ever going to be considered. They just never hear anything back. Did you know that people will literally go through interviews? They'll go through multiple interviews. They will interview with an executive and then no one will follow up with them. They have spent hours on this process. I have heard stories of people who are taking time off work, traveling to an interview, and then having that interview canceled and the team's like, sorry, we hired someone. People are literally getting job offers, they're quitting their jobs, they're planning to start a new job, and the offer gets rescinded.
Media content creators that are not partnered with platforms will be deleted in 2025. What am I talking about? Well, it's happening. The content creators that are non-partnered. I am not partnered with YouTube. They want nothing to do with me. I am not partnered with Rumble. I'm not partnered with Facebook. I got no verification on Facebook. All of the pages, even with TikTok. I'm kicked off of X. I'm kicked off of Spotify. What's happening?
Shadow ban. Kicked out of TikTok. Kicked out of Shadow ban. You're listening to Kiwiradio.nz. Shadow ban. TikTok, brought to you by the CCP. Always watching.
February of 2024, where they started to go after the platforms via content creators. Now, Canada is pushing for this too. Now, Canada is pushing hard for 2025 to remove non-partnered entities on social media. YouTube has made it very clear they don't want to partner with me. They want nothing to do with me on the platform. They allow me to be on there because I've been on YouTube for over 15 years. So they're allowing me to be on there to speak and tell you guys what's going on. But there's a lot of platforms where they don't give you the Rumble heroes, the Twitter stars, the influencers. There's a certain sect of people that are partnered with the platforms, and with those people, the platforms are on the hook for those people. So if those people step out of line, governments can step in and actually start fining for misinformation or fake news or whatever. But they're going to come down hard to start cracking down. They're pushing for they've already pushed in legislation in Ireland, and they're going full blast with the digital ID. England is doing the same thing. Canada's on board 100% to stop the misinformation from content creators such as myself that's been around for many years. Unfortunately, I was never given the opportunity to I've had the voice, but the platforms never allowed me to get out there. We could slip through the algorithm once in a while, but that's the deal. But coming 2025, what's going to happen is very simple. Platforms will be on the hook for non-partnered content creators. 100%. So unless we get verified by the platforms, Canada's going to pass through, or they're passing through, and they're just going to start suing platforms. France was doing it in January, February, and March of 2024. France went full blast on going after the Rumble and YouTube and Twitter and whatever and Facebook, going after all these platforms. So this is what's happening, folks. This is how it's going to go down. I can't find a platform that would verify us, and I'm having a really tough time finding anybody that's a big influencer that could help us out to maybe get us verified. For Facebook, I cannot get verified. I think I just passed 127,000 followers on Facebook, and I can't get verified. And this way, when the mandate or the rules come through and the platforms start getting threatened to be sued, what's going to happen is they're just going to axe the guys that are not verified, and they're pushing hard for that. I am not verified on any platforms, and I can't. They won't verify me. They say that I am not credible. Facebook says I'm not credible. YouTube says for me to reapply for partnership, I think it's in 2027. So, unfortunately, that's where we stand right now. Letting you guys know they're going to go hard on censorship, and they're going to push hard. They're not going to be passing bills. They're just going to be suing the platforms for content misinformation, and the platforms are going to have to either figure out a way to work it around, but I think they're going to go after the non-verified users first.
That's our man MikeInTheNight.org. You're locked into Kiwiradio.nz with your host Ralphie. Chat to us on youtube.com/@KiwiRadioNZ. Send voice memos on our website Kiwiradio.nz. All that fun stuff.
Unconstitutional taxation on American people when he becomes president. The most petty, pathetic thing that governments have done to us as average private citizens is tax our labor. Our work is taxed. Our income is taxed. Everything we make is taxed. And then when we go out to purchase and do other things, we are taxed. We are taxed to death. Old news. But what he needs to go after is the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a foreign banking entity in the United States that basically operates and basically lends money to institutions within America with a little bit of vague interest. And what happens? Well, very simply, when banks start to default or start to notice that they are running low on funds, the Fed would print money and give it to the banks. But here's the deal. If you end the Fed or get rid of the Fed, what happens to banks? Banks start to default. Once banks start to default, what happens? Consumer confidence goes down and people start to get smart with their money. And then banks start offering you higher interest rates on your savings. Save with us and we'll give you more money. Banks will give you more incentives to deal with them. Heck, if the Fed disappeared tomorrow, half the banks will fall off. But not only that, you'd have good institutions with good books, good lending practices, and good character. And they're there for you. And what in turn do the banks need? Well, they need more private citizens to have some sort of a saving or some sort of a loan. Why? Because then what will in turn happen is people will be getting paid. We'll start getting increases in wages, and people will start getting paid more. Why would they be getting paid more? Well, because all this shenanigans banking will start to dissolve and default, and you'll start going into the realistic approach of the banking system. You know, back in the day, you put money in the bank for 7 years, it doubled with interest. Every 7 years, your money would double. But you'll start making more. You'll start saving more. You'll start organizing, and banks will be begging for your business. Once the Fed ends and the foreign banking system disappears, that the Woodrow Wilson put into place that basically destroyed America pretty much overnight, and the Income Tax Act that Donald Trump said he wants to abolish. Well, the most pathetic thing governments have done is tax you on your labor. If they end the Fed, banks go bankrupt. Banks go bankrupt, what happens? Banks love you again. Banks need you again. And they're not going to go woke. They're actually going to go that fine straight line because they know they don't have the bailouts from the Federal Reserve. And that's how you could fix America to start. Oh yeah, you can have a gold-backed currency. There's so many things you can do. But I just wanted to let you guys know, to end the Fed, foreign entity put in by Woodrow Wilson, and Andrew Jackson fought his entire administration to get rid of the banking cartels and the foreign banking systems. And back at the time of Andrew Jackson, when the foreign banking cartels were abolished, a lot of banks in America started to go bankrupt and default. Why? Because they weren't doing things right. Right? Banks are about making money, not stealing money, and not inflating money, and not printing money. It's about using your money and making money, or trying to make money, and maybe even getting rid of the whole fractional reserve system. How's about that? We abolish the fractional reserve system and say we do 1-to-1. 85% of banks will flop overnight if you do 1-to-1. They're lending you, and they're giving you, and they're enslaving you with money they don't even have.
Food for thought. Thanks, Mike Martins. You're tuned to Kiwiradio.nz. This is the last track for the mix. A song by Lewis Boardman called Snaggle.
about anyone else, but I feel like LinkedIn is the #1 resource first that you think of when you think of jobs, but now it feels like anyone and everyone is applying to all of these jobs and your application isn't even getting seen. I don't know if that's how it's really working, but that's just how I feel about it. I've applied to probably over 200 jobs in the course of 2 months and have gotten maybe a handful of interviews or even heard back.
Good luck, everyone out there. You're tuned into Kiwiradio.nz.